Bench Opinions. Three idiots with amateur analysis.
Are we recording, eh?
No, Dominic hasn't pushed it yet.
No, I don't have to push it. It's the receiver. Pay attention.
I'll push it.
Right. Episode 7. 7?
7, yeah.
7. Yeah.
Good number.
Oaks haven't seemed to recover yet.
No.
I actually thought, because when I woke up this morning, I said to Max, I was like, I'm feeling a lot better. And after the shower, now I'm not feeling so good.
Tired.
Yeah, but also like the stomach.
I wasn't too bothered until I remembered we also put this on YouTube. So, because if I look as bad as I feel, I'm just tired.
We had a long weekend at Oktoberfest for the first time. A lot of fun. Dom, run us through the play-by-play of the weekend.
Goodness gracious. I mean, that place is unbelievable. I think when we arrived, very fun weekend. Everyone should do it, I think. Anyone who enjoys a beer and a good time should do it once in life. We arrived on Friday evening, but then on Saturday, we kind of sort of took it a little easier in the morning and then made our way over to the grounds. And I was just shook at how absolutely wasted everyone was. Because you come in, you're like, oh, this is nice. Let me just get a feel for it. Whoa. But yeah, unbelievable experience. We went on a couple of rides. That was fun. Some of them were, but that whole chain swinging thing in the air seemed like a good idea from the ground, but I wasn't too happy with it once we got up there.
I was quite impressed with you because I know you've got a fear of heights.
Yeah, I mean, it's subsided over. Maybe as the value of my life mentally has declined, I'm like, if I fall, I fall, you know.
Yes.
Sorry, that's dark. But I'm tired. But it was fun. I mean, chaos, absolute chaos. I mean, when we were trying to get into that first tent, with a reservation, I'll add, it was dog-eat-dog world out there.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people on a very small, well, actually not that small, but a relatively small piece of ground.
6 million people over 2 weeks.
We did see Michael Ballack.
We saw
So Michael Ballack.
that was an interesting
So
situation. We also escalated into that conversation.
I don't know if the few listeners know the story of Michael Ballack's son who passed away, I think 3 years ago, 2021.
Yeah.
And
In a quad bike accident.
Quad bike accident. In my head, I had it that Michael Ballack was now dating the ex-girlfriend of the dead son.
Yes.
So we flippin' were standing there judging him.
And her.
And they're like 2 meters from us.
Disgusting it is. And then the next day at lunch, we just Googled the situation to make sure that we were on the right path and that she's actually not the ex-girlfriend. She was just a friend. It's still weird.
A lot of
Lovely lady.
A lot of clickbait though. That literally, the headline was like, Michael Ballack dates dead son's girlfriend.
Yeah.
So can we be blamed? No.
So if we're all right.
We wanted to hear what we wanted to hear.
Listen.
We tried to watch the rugby on Saturday night. Klaus?
I had a glimpse at the TV once, and I think that's the most that I saw. And then I sang the national anthem with my eyes closed.
We almost didn't get in because Klaus was so drunk and swaying, and we told him before we got there, Klaus, pull yourself together here. Obviously, we didn't get in. Klaus profusely apologizes the whole time to the whole group. Sonia then proceeds to call the bouncer an asshole. She has to apologize to him, but eventually we get in.
And in a weird turn of event, I was the man that calmed the situation, got us in, promised the bouncer that he'd be fine, and then he fell asleep, so he was fine.
I wasn't a nuisance to anybody.
No. And violently threw up in the bathroom.
It wasn't violent. And then Dominic ordered the best bowl of chicken that anybody's ever eaten.
Yeah. I ordered us a classic, the chicken basket. I watched the first bit of it, but then eventually of the rugby, and it was the best bit of the game, I think. But then eventually we were like, okay, let's pack this in, people.
Yeah. I think we all just watched the highlights the next day. So what did everyone think of the highlights?
Well, we started like our house on fire.
Yeah.
And then it went south from there.
Very quickly. Yeah. Obviously, none of us predicted an Argentina win, but I think, Klaus, you've been alluding to the fact that they have been getting a lot better recently, and this just shows it now. For the first time ever, they've beaten all three Rugby Championship opposition teams in 1 year, and now it's literally a title decider in Nelspruit, which I think none of us wanted, but...
You don't want to go to Nelspruit. It's not the place you want to be going.
No, I think... Listen...
If you're Argentinian.
I think
our boys will feel very comfortable there.
Yeah.
Let's talk with Mani though. I don't know if you were going to bring that up.
No, I was not going to because he's my boy.
No, but look, my point is this. There's a lot of, the abuse is unacceptable. I think if anyone, at the end of the day, it's a game of rugby. It's not saving lives, it's not hurting anyone. And there has been a lot of abuse online and very terrible things written that from what I've seen, obviously just from users of the internet. But yes, and that's terrible, and I agree with that. But I do think it is absolutely, a lot of people saying, but did Mani let them score 4 tries? And we should have, even Rassi said, we should have decided the game much earlier, which are all valid points, I guess. But at the end of the day, of course, surely you should be able to criticize what is a poor kick. And unfortunately not the first time he's done it.
No. The problem is that all these coaches always talk about fine margins. And this is a fine margin.
Yeah.
And yes, he's great in all other aspects of his game. And I think we all can sit here and say that we enjoy watching him play. Kicking is not one of his strengths.
Yeah.
So either somebody else in the team needs to kick when he's on the field.
Yeah.
Or he just can't play big games. Because if it really is coming down to those fine margins, he's not cutting the mustard.
But I mean, if we're honest, it wasn't even the biggest game. It was Argentina. It was
Argentina on the up and up.
Yeah. But I mean, we didn't play him against New Zealand. I assume for exactly those reasons, and I assume Rassi wanted to give him a game of maybe get him some confidence. It's done exactly the opposite.
Yeah,
I think as a 10, you're like the quarterback a little bit in football, where there is just a little bit more responsibility on you than on some other players. So you've got to rise above. And if you're in the team to run the attack and to kick for posts, and you don't do half of that, then
and it's funny because I think he misses so often. I mean, he misses playing for the Stormers as well. I mean, he's not a great kicker. He just isn't. And from everything that I see and hear, and I just on the one side you can say he bottled it, but the question must also just be asked: is he even technically good enough? Because I don't know if you can miss that many kicks playing for all the teams you play for without having some sort of technical flaw in your kicking technique or something of that like. Because it blows my mind. Obviously this was a high pressure moment, but Mani's done it way back in the day before to kick to win a tournament.
Yeah.
So it is. I don't know if he's just technically just not a good kicker, and there's this hopeless hope that he's gonna now like just turn it around.
So I think it was Swester Brain was talking about it last year, and he was analyzing this kick. And look, I'm no kicker myself. None of us. But essentially what he was saying is that Mani's kick, his swinging plane of his leg is almost like closer to 90 degrees than it is to 45. So he actually needs to come at a much larger angle when he's attacking the ball. And he doesn't always do that. And when he does, what he then tries to do is he tries to force his leg onto a new plane to correct it. And that's why it goes wayward.
I think it might also be one of those mental blocks professional athlete goes through.
Or like you and your tripping.
I'm still in the middle of that. I'm not quite through yet, but I think I'm through the worst of it. But I don't think he's technically a terrible kicker. I do think for the Stormers he's shown that he can kick, but I think in the past, listen, when you get a bit of confidence, you start slotting them from everywhere.
Yeah,
sure.
And he's just not getting the confidence. So maybe it's better for him just to take a step back, play for the Stormers, see if you can get a good run of games together there.
Yeah.
Maybe don't even bring him into the end of year tour, just...
Yeah, bleed some of the new guys. I mean...
I don't think that step back is going to be by choice.
No, but I think Russ is also very careful to not drop Oaks on their ass. He's not going to just throw people out and be like, okay, you're done. But listen, I mean, eventually opportunities are going to dry out for him because...
Yeah, and there's a lot of boys knocking on the door.
Yeah.
I saw already a good tweet or post on X from a guy saying that it's crazy how the duality of rugby, talk about Mani missing his kick, which was a sitter, and then you look at Jordan Hendricks slotting one from 55 meters for the Sharks.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that are knocking, and they're not going to stop knocking on that door to get into that side.
No, I think in South African rugby, you're always under pressure, I think, because there's always...
Especially at 10, we've never had this luxury before at 10.
Yeah, it was just Mornay Stain for 27 years. He's back.
Because I mean, now you've got
and before that, Butch James.
Oh yeah, Butch, my boy.
When it's out, Butch. who do you have? You've got obviously got Henry Pollard, you've got Sasha Feinberg, Ngoma Zulu, you've got Sia Masuku, you've got
Mohammed Libok.
Sanilo Nohamba, you've got Jordan Hendrickson.
There's just always like 3 Afrikaans guys that can fly half. Let's be honest. I don't know.
I don't know if I'd put any of those boys in at like test level though.
I was joking.
Like a Chris Smith or something like that.
Let's quickly touch on the other game. I think, well, listening back to our predictions, none of us thought it would be that close.
No.
To be fair, Australia really rallied back in the last 15 minutes. I saw a comment saying the All Black jitters in the last quarter seem to be becoming more of a thing. Where there used to be the team that could...
Yeah, who would have thought, yeah.
Who would be behind by 30 and then in the last half an hour just flip and turn it around. Seems like things have flipped a little bit for the All Blacks.
I saw the scoreline before I saw the highlights. And then when I was watching the highlights, I was like, did I see the wrong scoreline? Because this can't be.
They were running tries in.
And I was like, at halftime, I think they still didn't have many points or any at all. And the All Blacks just kept on scoring a try and a try and a try. And so for me, this is like the best 60-minute performance by Australia in the last 2-3 years.
It was in Australia again. Whenever they play the All Blacks in Australia, they do seem to get closest.
Yeah.
But now they're going back to New Zealand for the next game. And I think now we can predict.
Now we can predict.
Little update on the predictions. Klaus 8, me 5, Dom 4.
Oh, God.
Very bad week for all of us.
Oh.
I think I was closest in the New Zealand-Australia game because I said New Zealand by 15, which was the lowest margin. So let's bring our rugby brains together here and predict next week. Klaus?
South Africa
Yes.
is going to win it. And then with that, take the title. And they're going to do it comfortably. Because I don't think Argentina can go back-to-back with their performances. I think we're going to do it by 14.
By 14. Dominic? Oh, no, give me the other game first.
Australia, New Zealand, or New Zealand, Australia. New Zealand's going to come out swinging, and they're going to take it by 10.
Okay. I'll double that to 20 for New Zealand. I think these poor guys, they just get beaten around. They get so excited, yes! Like even beating Argentina, and then the next week, cheers. So I think New Zealand by 20 in the New Zealand-Australia game. And then I think South Africa, I agree with Klaus, I think it'll be a job well done. I think our record at Mbombela Stadium, it's in Mbombela Stadium, right?
Yeah.
Our record there is pretty good as well. And that part of the world's rugby mad, and they're always up for those big games. So I think South Africa by 15, I think, relatively comfortable.
Ooh, I think you said 14, eh? So that's going to be tight.
Did you say 14 or did you say 10?
That's a 10 in the New Zealand game.
Oh, no. Well, then, no, let me not. I'll go South Africa by 20 as well. I'm confident.
South Africa, I think, by 8, and New Zealand by 5. Those Aussies are still going to hang on. All right. Dom alluded to it just now. Jordan Hendrickson in the Currie Cup Final. Did you guys watch the highlight of that?
Yes.
Yes, see.
Klaus is upset.
As some Lions fans in the room, how do you feel?
I mean, I must be honest. I like my weird bit of sense of excitement that grew as the Currie Cup season went along, purely because the Instagram algorithm was sending me videos of these guys playing ridiculous rugby.
There's actually quite a few fans in this.
Yeah,
There's a lot of fans. Yeah.
I think Currie Cup has a big, like if you're a big rugby fan in South Africa, I think Currie Cup has a lot of weight to it still. There's a lot of history. Isn't it the oldest rugby competition? I think it is. So pretty cool. And I mean, just it is part of our bigger production line of rugby players. And I think that's what's exciting about it, is that it's just another platform to give young players some playing time and get them on the big stage, I guess.
I feel like the Currie Cup has become like the second edition of Varsity Cup. Because they're playing such young teams, and the type of rugby that they're playing is just as exciting as the Varsity Cup. It's not as technical. It's a lot of free-flowing play, lots of balls being thrown around, and
well, I mean,
it's quite exciting.
Talking about free-flowing play, the first points were only scored in the 50th minute in that game, and it looked cold and it looked miserable. Yes, I looked at that. I looked at the people in the stadium in the crowd, and I was like, well done for going there, but
Yeah.
Those are my memories of Ellis Park sitting in the nosebleeds. It's like a 9-year-old watching the Cats get beaten by Joost van der Westhuizen's Bulls. It was dark times there, but cold, always cold. That's what I remember about Ellis Park.
with rugby seemingly as popular as it ever been in South Africa, this is probably the best time for the Currie Cup to remarket itself, as you said, not necessarily as the Varsity Cup, but something as a sort of feeder league, price the tickets the right way, and you could really entice people just to watch some rugby. I think for the first few rounds, you're always going to struggle to fill something like Ellis Park or the Cape Town Stadium and something like that. But when you get to the latter stages, when you get to knockout rounds, it could still be like a really cool competition to get into, and it's never going to have the same status as it did back in the day. I think when we were in high school, there was those games of Cheetahs versus the Bulls in the finals when it was the biggest game in South Africa. Or the Bulls against the Sharks and stuff like that.
Just looking over our shoulders at someone like Australia, for example, I just think it's so important that we make sure that rugby is looked after at home, not reliant on people, other teams, other unions from overseas. So I'm all for it. The Currie Cup trying to get a bit, or trying to grow, or trying to get back to what it used to be, because you never know what's going to happen with the uncertainty of everything happening in global rugby at the moment. The last thing we want to be doing is get caught with our pants down, I think. So it's really good.
But to the game, it's pretty exciting at the end there.
It was very exciting.
I don't know why the Lions didn't just kick out their line out and finally win it. But
if it's the 81st minute, I think the Lions were on the Sharks. They were almost in their 22, eh? They were like on the verge. And I was watching the highlights. I was like, how did they lose this from here? But I mean, under pressure. I mean, the distance, I think, for a good kicker wasn't the problem, but it's 81st minute, the whole tournament's on the line. That's some...
stepping up to the plate.
That's stepping up to the plate. That's exactly what you want from your number 10, is just cool as you like.
And definitely as a future Springbok prospect, to see that kind of cool, calm and collected under pressure.
He played fullback, eh? In that game.
In that game, he played fullback,
Also
And
interesting.
the upsetting part is, he just moved to the Sharks. He's a Lions boy.
Yeah.
Just moved to the Sharks, and then he does this to us.
Yeah.
Made in the 011, eh? But also interesting, that's an interesting point, actually, the fact that he played fullback, Jordan, because a lot of people also talking about in what kind of permutation could Mani play.
Yeah.
And they said if it was the old days, for example, when we had Percy, who kicked as a fullback, all of a sudden you had the luxury of playing a Mani at
Well, I mean,
half.
when Mani played, sometimes our wing was kicking. So
Or Fuff even.
Puff was kicking.
But interesting. But good to see that. I mean, we're pretty. I think 15 is in the Springbok team is one of the positions where you could say it's quite difficult to predict who's going to be wearing that jersey. Long term. Fassi's played well. I mean, Willemse will come back and probably stake his claim. Willy's getting a little older, so interesting to see that Jordan can also look. It's the Currie Cup level, so let's see what he can do at a higher level at 15. But interesting to see that we could have an option as a kicker at 15.
I think one of the really interesting prospects to come out of Currie Cup, but he also played URC last year, is Ethan Hooker. That guy is an absolute beast, and he is so fast.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really exciting to see how he develops. I think he played for SA under 19s or whatever it is, baby box. So it's going to be interesting to see like those kind of guys come through. You got your Julius Lorenzo. I don't know if he played in the Currie Cup final now, but he's the outside center, also played baby box.
Monster.
Ginormous.
Monster.
And so fast and so agile. So if you think about like an inside pairing, with the likes of Lakanya and Dialende getting older, and you have Julius Lorenzo and Ethan Hooker. Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
very, very nice prospect.
Definitely spoiled for choice in South Africa. Another tournament that's just gotten underway again, which I think we're all more excited about than usually, is the URC.
Yes.
We are playing in a fantasy and we're playing a predictor game. There's a lot of excitement leading into this first game week. Not a single South African team playing, which would have usually meant that I did not give a shit. But this time I did.
Yeah.
Klaus, run us through some of the results there. Very close, all of them, eh?
I think the most exciting result was the Ulster-Glasgow game.
Yeah.
I think
A little bit of an upset, eh?
I think you are the only one who predicted Ulster.
Yeah.
We both predicted Glasgow as the champions from last year. Well fought battle, and then at the end they managed to get it over with a contentious try.
I keep seeing pictures of Werner Kok. Did he score? Did he play really well?
Yeah, he came on and
He
played
came on
really
at the
well.
end. He came on for the last
That's quite a
20,
good
30
signing.
minutes.
Yeah.
He's
Astute business, I would call it.
yeah, he's not flashy, but he's a flipping workhorse.
He's a workhorse.
Like Dirk Kuyt used to be for Liverpool.
True. Difficult to predict though, and difficult. I mean, I'm not into the URC as much, and I probably will get into it, which is nice through this whole fantasy process. But a lot of the
through the
Irish
channel. And through the podcast.
and also listening to you two lovely gentlemen. But interesting to see. Like, I think difficult to predict. A lot of the Irish teams not playing their first teams. And then obviously the South Africans not in this first round yet, but they're into the fray this weekend. So let's see. There are going to be a few transfers there on my fantasy team.
Yeah. What do you guys think for your Lions are playing Ulster next, eh? I think Ulster's now travelling. And
Yeah.
I think you guys are playing them in Joburg though.
As long as we kick the ball out when it's 80
The
minutes.
good thing about the Lions is we don't have that many Springboks.
You guys are a settled team.
Exactly.
We've got one Springbok,
Yeah.
Morne van den Berg.
Yeah.
Other than that, our team never leaves. They only leave for other teams at the end of the season.
And then win the Currie Cup.
And then lose the Currie Cup.
Stormers are travelling. I think we might be playing Connacht, but I'm not 100% sure. But very excited for the South African teams to get going, see where they are. Will be interesting to see how the Hollywood Bet Sharks do this year.
I hate that name so much.
After they've seemingly invested
Millions.
the whole of South Africa's GDP into their squad and can never make it into the playoffs.
But it's a bit of a sort of, I mean, the first two seasons were really good for the South African teams in the URC.
Thanks to the Stormers. You've got to always add that.
I feel like the last...
Sorry, just to interject. For anybody who doesn't know, Maxi was born and raised in Johannesburg, but for no apparent reason,
There's a reason. That's
there's a massive storm.
That's such a lie.
No, he studied in Stellenbosch.
Such a lie. I didn't watch rugby when I was younger. I went to 1 or 2 Lions games. And listen, the Lions were terrible. And then I went to Stellenbosch, and my friends in Stellenbosch took me to Newlands. And when you go to Newlands
Traitor.
and you braai in front of the stadium, then you
Why
become...
hadn't you braai in front of Ellis Park?
We can take you for a ride at Ellis Park.
I think
You might have to share some food, but other than that...
I think it might be the last thing you ever do. I was pickpocketed outside Ellis Park.
Yeah, but dude,
They took
you walk around with your phone in your hand. What's gonna happen?
pickpocket, Klaus. They took it out of my pocket.
Just get tighter pockets.
Yes, so yeah,
Cargo
I was,
pants
I was
must
played
lift
for
them
a fool there.
But third season in the URC. I think it's the third season now.
Yeah.
Fourth.
And
I think last season wasn't the greatest season, so it would be nice to see some South African teams.
the Bulls did well last year. I think this year, I mean, the Lions also almost scraped in at the end. They played some good rugby at the end of last season. So it would.
Yeah.
You always love it when all South African teams do well, and you obviously want a South African team to win it. Yeah. I really think the Sharks need to pull finger though, because you can't invest that much money and not get anywhere.
Yeah.
And now their Lord and Savior Siya Kolisi is coming back, so now.
You can't have that star-studded a team and not perform.
Look, good for them that they won the Currie Cup then as well. I mean, that wins you. I mean, big squads win you tournaments like the URC. So I think they'll definitely be able to take some of that momentum from the Currie Cup into the URC season for sure.
Let's see how they go.
All right, enough about rugby. Everyone obviously watched a lot of the Laver Cup.
All of it. I just saw what's his face have an absolute meltdown. Someone had an absolute complete meltdown. Was it? I think it was Dimitrov.
He also didn't. I don't think he played that well this weekend.
No, and he he tossed his racket like this and bounced off the court. And there was a lady sitting behind, luckily someone that works for the Laver Cup and not a spectator, and it almost hit her. And then McEnroe, I love how ironic the world is. McEnroe called for him to be suspended.
McEnroe.
You can't behave like this.
13-11 victory to the Europeans.
Yeah.
It went down to the last match, and Carlos Alcaraz won it for them. He won 8 points for the Europeans, and it's the most ever won by one oak.
He is unreal.
He's unreal.
I am interested. First of all, it happened in Berlin, which is quite cool.
Which is a pity that we missed.
Which means we watched even less of it.
Our friend Brian went. We'll get a blow by blow from him when we see him, and we'll let you know how it was. But I think it's an interesting one because it's a relatively new concept as a tournament, and I think it takes a while for these things to kind of grow a little bit of momentum and like become something where you're like, oh, it's not just exhibition vibes. I see that McEnroe and Borg were captains for the last time now, so I think there'll be a new wave. Obviously, I would think Roger Federer and someone like that will come in, and that will add also a certain je ne sais quoi, whatever you say.
His name Roddick, eh? The old American.
Yeah, see, the guy could serve, eh?
Yeah.
That's about everything he could do.
Because they could bring like an Agassi they could bring in.
Oh, true.
As a coach.
Yeah. You see some, the players seem to get really hyped for it. So that's the first thing you need. You need the players to sort of find that team dynamic.
They look like they've bought in.
Yeah, and then once that happens, then the fans sort of buy in, and then eventually, like you said, maybe few more editions down the line, do you get that sort of Ryder Cup mentality of you feel for someone. And now we have to side with the rest of the world now.
It's true.
Do we?
Yeah, kind of.
Because I mean,
we're from the rest of the world.
But you can't just be German when you want to, Klaus.
But I think
I'm European.
But I also think
if there's no South Africans in there, then
I don't know. It is, but I must say, tennis.
What do you want from me?
Tennis very much has its back against the wall with the emergence of pickleball and padel, as they say. So I think these kind of concepts are what they need to try and attract more people, because pickleball particularly is just growing in popularity.
But just like in every other sport, the athletes are complaining about playing too much. I know Carlos Alcaraz said something this week about being overplayed. I know it's been said in football. Rodri said it just before he's now gotten injured. So the solution surely isn't just play more. It's probably just to change the dynamic. I don't know much about the ATP tour, but I do know it's not an event if you're not a diehard tennis fan.
Exactly. Yeah. I think they have a serious, there's a bit of a changing of the guard. I don't know, I think Federer, someone like Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, those are, and Djokovic still are like, those are once in a lifetime, like athletes, and having that dynamic within a global sport helps you. And, unfortunately, someone like Yannick Sinner has to try and live up to that for tennis to keep its status in the world. And I just don't think you can, and I think it's unfair to think he can. And even Alcaraz, a great guy, but everyone just calls him Nadal 2.0.
I think Alcaraz has a real chance too.
Yeah,
I think so too.
I think
the rivalry between between the two of them.
Alcaraz and Sinner, let's say Medvedev, maybe it's Zverev, but Zverev is a sort of, he's like the Andy Murray of this quartet. He might win one or two. If they continue to battle it out, I think the majors will be shared amongst only them.
Yeah,
because they're absolute animals. Tennis is weird because they've done so well to market the majors, because those are
the Grand Slams.
Loves watching them. Yeah. But then the rest of it is sort of fallen by the wayside. But I mean, we'll see. Tennis is not top of our agenda.
No, that being said, I watched tennis this year way more than I've watched in the last 10 years.
Is it because of that Breakpoint Netflix series, or did you not even watch that?
I didn't even watch that.
So why did you watch more tennis? More procrastination.
It's just another reason to sit on the couch.
He's Klaus is moving up in the classes,
Oh,
yes, because you know what? Also, I started watching No, sailing.
Oh God,
dude! No, hold on. I've got to say something quickly. Those yachts, where the have you seen where the fins come in and out of the water?
Like people from Finland.
No.
It's so damn.
Why are they putting Finnish people in and out of the water?
Oh my gosh. That's hard to listen to.
Oh God.
Apologies.
Put
a hand up.
I love that.
Foils.
Yeah.
And then the whole yacht.
Don't say it. Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know where that joke was going to go.
I thought we were going to go to joke about foil, but
tinfoil.
There we go. Okay.
Sorry, Klaus.
Anyway,
I've seen your videos on Instagram. Yeah.
Unreal. And
I hope the people listening are more interested in sailing than I am.
And I've seen 3 clips now where like boats been crashing and stuff like that. So it's getting quite.
So when you say you watch more sailing, it's because it's come across your algorithm on social media.
So I've been more on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And because they've started crashing.
No, I think they've always been crashing. I've just now discovered it. I found the whole foil thing really fascinating. These boats are lifted out of the...
It's ludicrous what those guys do. Like the speeds
of like 80 kilometers an hour.
And like how, you have to stay on the boat and...
Okay, we're not going to become a sailing podcast, so let's move on. Formula One Singapore.
From one rich sport to the next.
I was like, what are you trying to do?
Actually, racing has become very sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The common man's sport.
There we go.
Lando did it again.
He did it again, but probably not by enough.
And where you mean for the championship?
Yeah, because
Wow.
Max finished second.
I think Max did enough to.
Yeah.
There's nothing more that Lando could
And
have
Max's
done.
old friend Daniel, who secured the fastest lap there.
Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah, what everyone's calling probably his last race.
Shame, man. He was crying there after the race.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, when you're not very good, then, what do you want?
that's such a weird one, eh? He was touted when he was at Red Bull. Everyone was like, "This guy's got the personality and everything to be the best." And then he sort of thought he was bigger than the sport and left Red Bull, and it all just went.
I just think
Pear-shaped.
there is a danger of that in a lot of sports these days. Particularly, I think in something like F1, where if you secure a seat, you're earning pretty good money, and like obviously it's still performance based, and what's probably going to cost him his seat now is his declining performance over the years. But I think it's difficult to I think there's so many distractions. There's this ability to kind of maybe get a little bit comfortable, and I can't accuse him of that because I don't know that. I'm sure he tries his best, but I think it is. I think
Just on a Sunday
it's
stroll.
just like, fuck, is it over yet? No, but I think F1 is one of those sports where a lot of youngsters come into it, and once you get there, it's maybe you're easy to get comfortable, I guess.
I think he shot himself in the foot a bit. I think he wanted to have success without putting in the hard yards and didn't show any loyalty because he was at Red Bull, then he moved over to Renault, then from Renault moved over to McLaren, then from McLaren he was like, oh no, this car's not working for me, so he bounced again. And I think, if he had just stuck it out for a couple of seasons and worked with the team in developing trust, but then also a car that works for him, he could be driving a McLaren right now.
Yeah, he just became a bit of a journeyman,
But he was like, no, I'm going to go quickly swap to the next best thing, and it's actually shot him in the foot.
Yeah, for sure. I find the mentality of those racing drivers must be quite interesting because all professional athletes have this insane competitiveness and want to be the best.
Yeah.
But in Formula One, there's usually only one or two people fighting for first place. Everyone else is fighting for. If you're a Gasly, if you're an Ocon, if you're all those oaks, they're all fighting for help them with their 10th and 11th. And I don't understand how you could is your mentality literally, I'm the best here, I'm just not in the best car?
I just think there's so many variables in F1, so many variables. And also as the athlete in the car, one of the sports where the amount of variables that are out of your control to a certain degree are so high. They can't influence how much money goes into the car. They'll try and influence what the engineers do. But at the end of the day, there needs to be a certain kind of base and the car has to be a certain level for you to compete. And I think that's why. I think you have to eventually just go, hey, obviously when I'm in the cockpit and I'm going to try and race my ass off, and I think they do. I mean, the guys lose so much liquid. It's insane what they put their bodies through. But I think that's why. I think it's because if you're sitting in a house, you just you have no chance.
I think for those mid-table battles, there's a long-term strategy where they say, okay, we can't win this race anyway, but we need to try and get into the points, get 10th, 9th, 8th position, get 2, 3, 4, 5 points, build up a bit of a reputation because the further you are to the front, the more that you're in the Constructors' Championship battle, then you get sponsors, then you get money, then you can reinvest and you can build on that momentum.
Probably like being a mid-table team in any other sport.
You have to understand that you're not going to
fighting for different things. Yeah. No, for sure. They always seem to be a little bit prima donna, and I would think that keeping them in line is.
I've said my bit on what I think about F1 drivers.
And before we upset any more F1 fans,
I think the interesting thing with F1 is that in comparison to most sports, you actually get to hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
I think if you mic'd up a lot of other sports, you would hear the same amount of tantrums and
I think that probably helps to keep them a little bit in line, just like you sometimes hear how rugby players are kept in line.
Yeah.
And might be a solution for football players as well.
mic them up.
Just mic them up so that whatever they say.
Just imagine miking up Wayne Rooney back in the day.
Yeah. Definitely would have to put an age rating on that. Should we touch on some Premier League results?
Good weekend.
I predicted your draw.
Yeah, well done. I'm growing increasingly more frustrated at how good on paper it looks like we're playing, and we're not.
You did play well. I watched the highlights. You hit the post 4 times.
So there's a lot of progress in that front, but I think also, again, we're talking similar to, we have to understand where we are as a team. We're not going to challenge for the title. So I think for us, marathon, not a sprint, and it does look like there are some patterns of play getting better. We've conceded way less shots on our goal, which last year was our big problem. Last year at this stage, we had conceded 78 shots on our goal by this part of the season, and now we're down to 50. So that's a huge jump in how many shots we're allowing. So that's good. It's exciting. But we need to, after scoring 7 against Barnsley, it would have been nice to put some more goals past Crystal Palace. But it's a draw away from home, Selhurst Park, not the easiest place to go, so it's okay. Yeah. Liverpool, machine keeps ticking along.
Yeah, I showed you the score when it was 1-0 to Bournemouth, but thank God that goal got chalked off for offside. And then Luis Diaz put on a bit of a show, but just, some very, very positive football. And we've only conceded 1 goal so far this year in the game that we lost, unfortunately. But it's very, very positive. But the machine keeps ticking on in City. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of, just what an unbelievably tumultuous game of football that was,
A lot around the game.
Hey? Yeah, which is strange. I mean, people talking about a rivalry there, and I think obviously with Mikel Arteta's history at City and Pep, and a lot of players, like not a lot of players, but like, Haaland having moved, not Haaland, Gabriel Jesus having moved over to Arsenal, there was a bit of handbags between them at the end of the game. Look, at the end of the day, there was, again, some weird refereeing decisions. I think the refereeing Pugmol, whatever they call themselves, they just keep making lives hard for themselves. Stupid, like exactly the same situation in the game, and the one guy gets a yellow and the other doesn't. I don't understand that.
He got the Arsenal player got a second yellow for what they call slowing the restart down, because he kicked the ball away after the free kick was given, which is not allowed. And an Arsenal player has been sent off for this in this season already. But it's just, when you've got a top game like that, you almost want the ref to manage it in a different way. And that's where maybe football needs to have a look at their rules and stuff like that, because sometimes you've got these big games and players get sent off for something that's not worthy of a sending off.
Yeah.
But don't you think the punishment just needs to be harsh so that it then puts an end to that behavior?
That's on the other hand,
but there's no consistency. That's the issue.
Yeah, because there was a City player who did something similar.
Doku did exactly the same thing.
And in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end, Erling Haaland threw the ball at Gabriel's head.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Erling Haaland. He seems a bit cocky.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, I think, that thrives off mentality. A lot of it, I think, it reminds me a lot of Zlatan in that sense as well. It's just this like, he's convinced himself to 100% that he's the best, and that's how he kind of gets himself over the line in games. Sure. And he's a goal-scoring machine. Yeah. So, but 2-2 draw, I think. Look, I think Arsenal go away from the game to saying, cool, thank you, got a point, ciao. And I mean, they played for it as well. He parked that bus heavily. But that's what you got to do. I think that's in this modern day where everyone wants you to play the ball out from the back and all that nonsense. You've got to get results, and particularly if you're down to 10 men, what do you expect?
No, for sure.
An interesting result that I do want to pick up, though, is Chelsea. Because Chelsea went away to West Ham and won 3-0 comfortably. And that machine also starts to look like it's clicking. I mean, they've invested a lot of money in a lot of young players. Very interested to see how that progresses over the next few weeks, because I don't think they're going to challenge for the title, but they could really have a say in how things go down. And they're another ex-Pep Guardiola student from a management perspective in Maresca. So I can't say I like it, because I cannot stand that team, but it looks like they're starting to find some form.
Yeah, definitely. West Ham, on the other hand, they looked like firing David Moyes was a big mistake.
He was my call, though, Lopetegui, for being the first manager to get sacked, because David Moyes, say what you want about him, the guy transformed West Ham. And under this weird thing of he plays less attractive football, which was actually not the case if you look at the stats and if you look at the way that he played the game. But I at the beginning of the season, I thought it's going to be a problem, because those West Ham fans really get on your back quickly. They got on the back of a manager that won them European silverware. Yeah. And now Lopetegui comes in, he's Spanish, I've never really liked him either. He did that whole weird thing by joining Real Madrid in the middle of the 2018 World Cup. Remember that? And then he got fired by Spain right before the World Cup. So I don't know if he's the most... I don't think he's the guy that will leave much of an impression with the hardcore London fans. So he's a good shot to get sacked first, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And another team, just last point on this, that's just keeps chugging along is Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Also 3-1 win, and they
Against?
I think will be.
Against?
I'm not sure. Your Tottenham Hotspurs also won. I think the battle for top 4 is going to be.
Yeah. Spurs United on Sunday, by the way.
Yeah. You're going to watch it.
Come on, the Spurs.
I'll definitely watch it. I don't know if I'll be going anywhere to watch it, but I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on it. I feel quietly confident. I don't think Spurs are in a bit of they're not in a bit of trouble, but I think Ange is already under a little bit of pressure. He seems to be already in the mode of like trying to justify his decision making.
Yeah, but that guy seems to like it's just water off a duck's back,
To a certain degree.
as an Australian would say it. All right, last thing that we're going to touch on today is the BMW at Wentworth.
Yeah.
Our boy Tristan Lawrence was in a playoff. I think you said he shot 7 under on the last day to get into that playoff.
Yeah.
Together with Billy Horschel and Rory McIlroy. Unfortunately made bogey on the first playoff hole, so he was out. And then Billy Horschel took it. Rory unfortunately losing out. Or I think it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Again.
One of my favorite tournaments, I must say. There's such the build-up's insane. They have a crazy pro-am leading up to the Holland brothers come up for it. Kevin Peterson played. Gareth Bale, of course, he played. That's all he does now is play golf. And most of the big YouTubers and content creators as well. Rick Shields not, because he's sponsored by Mercedes-Benz and it's a BMW event. So
really?
So you can't go to that, funny enough. But Peter Finch was there, a couple of others. But very interesting to see. How the leaderboard fluctuated all week. Some guys came out and, Manacero shot 6 under on the Saturday to get into the reckoning and ended up making 1 over on Sunday. So it's really interesting to see. And I think it's a very risk-reward golf course. Unreal tournament, unreal place.
I've been at that golf course.
Have you?
I didn't play it. I was just in the restaurant.
I think it's very,
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very fancy.
Ernie Els used to live there for a very long time. And he actually redesigned the back nine, I think.
Retief Goosen also lived there.
Yeah. I think... talking about moving up in class, that would be nice. I'd also like to live there.
Yeah, our big golf tour is coming up soon, but I think we'll speak about that next week.
Yeah.
Let's go into some players of the week. And my player of the week, I'll get us kicked off here, is not from any professional sport. It's from the Oktoberfest. I think if you've seen some of the reels and videos coming out of Oktoberfest, there's this one ride where it's a conveyor belt that is, I would say, like maybe at like 20 or 30% increase, and it moves quickly. And when you're standing from afar, you're watching some oaks get it, and a lot of them not. And you're thinking, how can this be? Because it seems like if you've got the right positioning and your body is in the right shape, you can get up that thing no problem.
So just to give you essentially you queue up, and then there's this like ramp that goes like this. And they call it a toboggan. And this conveyor belt moves. So the first part is just trying to get onto the conveyor belt. And then you get up. It must be, 20 meters long, I would think.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. And then once, that's the main part of the ride. And then the next thing is you just go up some stairs and you go down a little slide. And everyone can see you.
Yeah. And we did it after having a lot of beer.
Yeah.
And the closer I got to that thing, the less confident I got because I saw how quickly it moved.
Yeah.
But my player of the week is this young man to our right here, who was the only one who managed to get to the top without being ass up, because I went first and I couldn't have fallen over quicker.
Yeah.
And it was the most emasculating thing, because the guy helping me then was holding my legs as I was going up. Dominic was
got
right
my
behind.
shirt taken off by the thing.
Dominic came up without a shirt on, also on his back.
And carpet burn.
Yeah,
And carpet burn on the back. And then there's Klaus surfing that thing like he's doing it for the 10th time. You can see some of those videos on YouTube if you Google them. There's a lot of drunk people who attempt it. It's a lot of fun, just like a lot of the other rides were that we went on. So my player of the week goes to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're a flippin' athlete. Because I couldn't get my body into that kind of position.
What's my player of the week? My player of the week is for Ulster's number 9.
Yeah.
He scored a try off his feet, and he managed to convince the ref that it was okay. So well done to him for getting the win.
Yes, if you're a Glasgow fan, you're really upset with that.
I mean, Carl Steyn was having a chat with the ref, and he's like, but he was off his feet. And he's like, my decision, try. I was like, okay.
Must be nice, eh? I'd love to live life like that. Be like, no, but this is the decision I've made.
Like the ref telling, what was it, Nick White?
Oh, yeah.
You be the number 9, I'll
be
be
the
the ref. If you shout at me again, you're going off.
Yes, Nick White is a cheeky one. Eh?
They must put a muzzle on that guy.
I thought you were saying they would put a bigger mustache on him.
No, that would not be possible, I don't think. What is my play of the week? My goodness. I think my play of the week goes to us at the Oktoberfest, and particularly the two of you for bouncing back on day 2. because it was, guys were in a dark place there on the first night.
I don't know when it happened for me, because I was fine when the whole thing of the bouncer not letting us in, I was still okay. But then when we got into that basement, I think the darkness, lack of oxygen, and like coming from such a high into such a mellow environment. Because even the Springboks fans that were there all seemed like they were quite still well put together. Yeah. I think we were the only ones who looked that bad.
Yeah, there was an old Oom sitting next to us, and he just kept asking me, what did you guys do all day? Yeah. But why are you like this? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know.
There's a video of Klaus and me during the anthems. I think Klaus will see if he can splice it into the end of this podcast to see if it might be a little bit of a reward for the people who've stayed with us this long, just to show you what state we were in.
And the commitment was there. We had the good intentions,
He woke up on day 2 and he was fine. Yeah. He woke up and he was as sprightly as ever. I woke up and it was all systems go for me, but day 3, day 3 definitely was worse, but a good experience. All right.
That's it.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Like, follow, subscribe. Hit us up in the comments. Message us. Yeah. Like us on Tinder. Whatever you want to do.
Well, them, yeah.
All of the above.
Don't like me on Tinder.
All right.
Bada bing, bada boom, as they say.
There's it.
Cheers.
You're Barbara.
Cheers.